my slides? Okay, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so today we'll discuss about the various methods how we can dispose of human excreta. So why do you think so? Why is it important? Like why there should be a proper methods of disposal of human excreta? Ex-
Ma'am, for healthy living,
yes,
from disease and
Proper
health.
sanitation.
yes, very good then. Okay, proper sanitation, that is also very important. That's why right nowadays we always encourage the people to use sanitary latrine. Even the government, they're having some schemes where they provide the people, especially in the rural areas, okay, with the basic materials that they need to build a sanitary latrine. Because as we all know, if especially communicable disease like diarrhea, dysentery, cholera, these are all waterborne infection, right? So it spreads because people, they went and they are doing open field defecation, and they are defecating near the water source. So because from the water source again, so the process of infection, it will go on and on, like. So because of that, like as you see, the proper disposal of human excreta is very important. Okay, or indirectly, why we also need to do that is because to prevent this fecal oral transmission, which is very common among the communicable disease like cholera, okay, diarrhea, dysentery. So in order to avoid all this and also to keep the environment clean and healthy, right? So we always need to have a proper disposal of excreta methods. So you will be here we'll be discussing about the various methods, okay, which was also practiced during the ancient times and at present. So at present, mostly everyone, they are having their own sanitary latrine, okay, with proper septic tank, okay, we have proper storage, so there is a less chance of this fecal oral contamination. So in this topic, you will be discussing about the various methods, okay, how we can plan this excreta disposal method. So if you say, okay, so safe disposal of excreta is very important to avoid contaminating the environment. It can also be accomplished in many ways. We will see later different methods of disposal of excreta, some requiring water, some little, and some none. It is also the principle or ways of breaking the fecal oral route disease transmission, which is very important. Okay, so that's what basic. At least we should always have a basic ways of managing with human excreta, because it acts as a source of so many contamination. Okay, air, water, soil, okay, land. So all this which affects our environment health. So some of the health hazards of improper excreta disposal is it causes soil pollution, yes, water pollution. It also contaminate foods, because what happen, as you know, if the people do open defecation, what happen? The flies from through the flies and all. Okay, so they'll be carrying the, okay, so the flies, through the flies, they will come and they will contaminate the food. Okay, so that's why we should also avoid, and it also act as a propagation of flies. Okay, so anyhow, I think this I don't need to explain in detail. Every one of you understood only. Okay, so these are the health hazards where why should we need to maintain a proper human excreta disposal methods. Okay, so sorry for the disconnection. Okay, so this is actually how this also, I think most of you already know. Okay, so this is how the fecal oral transmission occurs through the hand, through the flies. You can see us in the right side, okay, left side, sorry. So the child is doing open field defecation, right? And after that, maybe he didn't wash his hand directly after, okay, after he went to the washroom, he didn't wash his hand. So from his hand also it acts as a carrier of that infection. Then through the flies, then also through the foods, okay, in the fields, it, especially if they do it in near the field area and all, it might contaminate the plants and all, right? Then through the, again through the field or to the water also. So this all acts together, it acts as a source of contamination or the route of transmission of this infection. Okay, and after that, what happened? Again, the person later on, he will develop all those different form of infection. Okay, virus infection, or he might develop all those different disease, suppose called dysentery, cholera, and again he will become a new host. So this is actually how the fecal oral transmission usually occurs. Okay, so that's why proper hand washing, okay, doing having a proper sanitary latrine, okay, avoiding open field defecation, okay, especially in near the field area, then near the water source is very important in order to prevent all this fecal oral route transmission. Okay, so this is sanitation. So what are the things which we need to do? Okay, so this all the sanitation barrier. So first of all, whenever we, after defecation, we should always wash our hand. Yes. So we should always wash our hand properly with soap and water after defecation and even before eating. So by doing that, we are preventing or blocking the change of transmission. And especially the fingers or hand, it acts as a main source of infection. Okay, so anywhere we used to touch our hand here and there, right? So it acts as a main source of infection. So time to time, we should always wash our hand. Then we should always cover the, okay, whenever we prepare any food item at home, we have to always have a cover. We should cover the food item, okay, with a lid. And also this also helps in the contamination of the food with flies. Then we should always avoid open field defecation near the soil, which may cause soil contamination. And the food, okay, how we can prevent, whenever we cook any food, before cooking we should wash it properly, okay, under running water. And also make sure we cook it properly. That is also very important. So these are all the barrier or the methods which we can avoid this fecal oral route transmission. Okay, so by doing all this, it helps in prevention of any form of fecal route transmission. Okay, or we call it as a sanitation barrier. So these are indirectly these are all the 5 ways, okay, how we can also prevent diarrhea. Okay, so same thing as diarrhea is also a waterborne infection, right? Mostly. So we should do all those things. So these are actually the various methods of excreta disposal. So in the rural and the unsevered area, when we say unsevered area, means these are those areas that doesn't have proper pipeline or they don't have a proper this so this one excreta disposal method, like excreta management methods, all those. Okay, so these are mostly seen in the rural areas or the unsevered areas. So we will be seeing under this we have 3 type of this one excreta disposal. The first one is called as a service type latrines or the conservancy system. This is actually a very old method or an Asian method how the people are managing their disposal of human excreta. The second is a non-service type or the sanitary latrines. Sanitary latrine also, if you see, okay, as the people are developing the methods or the ways of building also it changes. Okay, so we'll be seeing all this, we'll see in details one by one. Then latrines which are suitable for the camps and temporary use. Okay, this also comes under this. Then if we see the service type, actually, what are the service type or the conservancy? So this is actually what happened. It is also called as a bucket system or a bucket toilet system. Here what happens? So the night soil will be collected from pail or bucket type of latrines by the human agency. Means these human agencies are, it might be sweepers, okay. So all these people, they will go and collect, okay, that night soil, or we call it the human waste, in a bucket. Okay, so people, they will be in their own house, okay, they will be having it in the bucket, okay, and after that, this human agency or the sweepers people, they will come and collect from each and every house, and later they will dispose it by burying or composting. So this is actually a very old method which was done during the ancient times. Okay. Then under the non-service type or the sanitary latrines, so we will be seeing the different types of sanitary latrines. Okay, so we have the borehole latrines, duct well latrines, water seal latrine. Again, we have the PRI system and RCA. Okay, these all also we'll discuss later. Then sulab Shauchalaya. Okay, then we have the septic tank and the aqua privy. So these are the non-service types of sanitary latrines. And the latrines which are suitable for camps and temporary use. So under this also we have a shallow trench latrine, then a deep trench latrine, okay, pit latrine, and a borehole latrine. So all these we will be discussing in details one by one. Okay. So we'll see with the first one, that is the civet under the under the civet area also we have this, because what is the main difference between this uncivet or the civet area is that in the civet area we usually have a very good pipe system, means they have a very good water carriage system. Okay, they have a very proper method of sewage treatment. That is the main difference between the uncivet and the civet area. Okay, so here also they usually do three form of treatment: primary treatment, secondary, and the other methods. Okay, so in the primary treatment, mostly they do the screening, removal of the grit, okay, then the plain sedimentation. Then under the secondary methods, we have the trickling of the filters, activated sludge process, and in the other methods is like sea outfall, river outfall, sewage farming. Okay, and the last one is the, let's see once. Is the slide visible?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
last one is the oxidation point. So all this also we will discuss details one by one. So that's why I'm not going to go any, okay, because moreover we'll discuss only later. So we will see with the first one, which is the service type. So as I've said, in the service type, as you can see, okay, so that is how this is how the people in ancient times, okay, they used to manage the human excreta disposal. So as you can see in the photo also, you'll be seeing that okay, there is a bucket, right? So that is, and this bucket, what happened every night, okay? So this sweepers or human agency, they used to call them during those ancient times. They will come and they will collect it from the doorstep or each and every house of the people. Okay, so this is how this system is being done. Okay, this is also called as the bucket latrine. And the disadvantages of all this is that, okay, obviously it causes smells, okay, they acts as, okay, it attracts the flies, then it also acts as a health risk to the people handling the excreta. Okay, and because as you all know from the excreta also say there are so many health risks which can happen, right? By seeing, if you can, even previously I also have shown about the this one fecal oral transmission. So but if they don't handle it properly, then it acts as a contamination, or it can, so many infection can be spread to the person who's collecting the excreta or to the human agency. Health risk from the food crops, okay, because what happened, they, whenever they collected, after that what happened, they used to dispose it, okay, either they dumped it or sometimes they even do this composting. And also this also actually, it affects, it might cause soil pollution and it can also affect the crops and all those. So this is the first method of the, in under the rural or the unserved areas. Okay, so this is called as a service type, which is not, actually no, this is not commonly this is not followed nowadays. Okay, everyone now are very advanced. Everyone, even in the rural areas, if you see, many people are having the sanitary latrine methods. So this is about the service type conservancy system or the bucket latrine. Okay, so this then we'll see with the second one. It is the sanitary latrine. So under sanitary latrine also there are different methods or the ways, okay, of types of the sanitary latrine. So for the sanitary latrine, okay, there are certain criteria that a particular sanitary latrine should fulfill. So the first one, it says excreta should not contaminate the ground and the surface water, and the excreta should not pollute the soil. So, and excreta should not be accessible to flies, rodents, animals, right? So these methods are, these criteria are very important. Then only it will help in prevention of environmental contamination, right? Excreta should not create a nonsense due to odor or any unsightly appearance. So that's why if you see in any sanitary latrine also, we have a proper location should be there, okay? The depth of the latrine also should be accurate, so that it doesn't, all this, it will, so that it fulfills all this criteria, okay? There should be a proper coverage, then they should have a proper storage of all those excreta. So These things are very important, okay, in order for any this one latrine to fulfill this criteria. So they should have all this, okay. So we'll see with the first type of sanitary latrine, which is a borehole latrine. This is actually a very commonly used, like during the previous days, okay. So even now also some few houses, if you see, even in rural areas, they are still following this borehole latrines. So this was first introduced by Rockefeller Foundation during 1930s in the campaigns of hookworm control. Okay, because as you know, hookworm infestation also it is a soil, because why does it happen? Because of soil contamination, right? And especially after, if the people doesn't wear proper slippers, if they don't wash their hand properly, so it attracts and it causes infection. So in order to control that during those days, so they have started up of a new ideas how to control that. So they have introduced this borehole latrine. The latrine consists of a circular hole, 30 to 40 centimeter in diameter, and dug vertically into the ground, okay, to a depth of 4 to 8 meter. Most commonly, we can also extend it up to 6 meter. Okay. A concrete squatting plate with a central opening and footrest is placed over the hole. A suitable enclosure is put up to provide any form of privacy. That means like a door or a cover. Okay, so we can make some, in order to provide privacy for the person using it. So I'll show you the photo. Okay, so this is actually how a borehole latrine it is being this one prepared. Okay, or is being built. As you can see, okay, so the person is sitting on a squatting plate. Okay, and it is around 30 to 40 centimeter in diameter, and the depth is 4 to 6 or even if up to 8 meter depth. So this is how we can build up a borehole latrine. So this is actually the very good methods, starting off a new advanced methods of human disposal of excreta. Okay, so this usually it really helps in preventing any form of this one soil contamination, okay, which is caused by open field defecation. So people they have started up with this borehole latrine. Okay. So the second, what are the merits actually, or the advantages of this is that there is no need for the services of a sweeper, like we have seen in the previous one, okay, or in the service type, okay, where we need, because that is a reason also why it is named as a service type, because for that we need some service, some agency or the person, right? So there is no need for the services of a sweeper for daily removal of night soil. It is unsuitable for fly breeding as it is properly dug, okay, and is also properly built. It is if located 15 meter away from the source of water supply, there should be no danger of water pollution. Okay, so location also it matters. So make sure even if you build this type of latrine, it should not be built so near to the water source. Obviously, if it is very near, it might form some form of contamination might be there. So location also it matters before building up this borehole latrine. The demerit is that it is a very small capacity. As you can see, it is only 4. So like what happened, sometime maybe you need to again dig another new, okay, hole in order to, because as time goes, it might be filled up. Okay, so you might need again to rebuild again or to dug again another hole. A special, the auger is required for the construction, which not be readily available because we need to dug a very deep hole, right? Up to 4 to 8 meters. In many places, the subsoil water is high and the soil loose with the result. Okay, it may be difficult to dig a hole deeper than 3 meters. So this also it might act as a barrier or disadvantage of this form of borehole latrine. Okay. So the next one it is called as a duck wall latrine. Okay, duck well latrine. Sorry. So it is a circular pit around 75 centimeter in diameter. Okay, this is also like the previous one. We have a pit. Okay, and 3 to 3.5 meters deep. Okay, so like if you see in the borehole latrine, it is around 4 to 8. Here it is around 3 to 3.5. The pits may be lined with pottery rings to prevent caving in of the soil. A concrete squatting plate is placed on the top of the pit and the latrine it is enclosed with a superstructure. So this is actually how duct well latrine can be built. Okay, it is almost similar. If you see, it is almost similar to the borehole latrine. Just that the depth it is slightly, it is not so deep. Okay, it is only 3 to 3.5, and it is around 75 in centimeter. And similarly, here also we'll have a plate, a squat, which is it can be made of concrete. But nowadays, if you see everyone again, we have this tiles type, right, of squatting plate. So it can be prepared or built with concrete cement also, and it is around 75 centimeter. And also there is a footrest, okay, which helps. Then again, we need some privacy also, right? So there should be some walls or side walls. This is also important for the privacy. As you can see, there is an air vent, okay, latrine shelter design and built with appropriate local materials. Then also the slab should be at least, it can be made of wood, they said, okay, concrete, or of at least 0.15 meter above the ground level, with a hole preferably covered with not when not in use, okay? Because it's very important, because covering is important to prevent contamination by flies and all those, right? So this is actually how we can build a duct well latrine, okay? So this is very similar with the previous one. Is just like an advanced design of the borehole latrine. So the advantages of this latrine is that it is very easy to construct, and there is no special equipment needed because it is not that deep. Okay, it is only 3 to 3.5 meters, and the pit has a longer life than borehole latrine because of the greater capacity. Okay, so because you can see the centimeter is more. Okay, so it is more width. The width is more, so it can hold up more as compared to the borehole latrine. Okay, so this is about. So do you have any questions till now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I think I will stop here for today. Okay, then tomorrow we will continue. Sorry, on the next class we will continue in the with the different methods of the sanitary latrine. Okay, because this disposal of human excreta is a bit lengthy. Okay, so we'll go slowly. So today at least you remember this type. Okay, the on-server type. Then also under the service type we have seen the. Sorry, under the on-server we have seen the service type, and also we have seen the sanitary latrines. In the sanitary latrines, we have seen about the borehole latrine and the duct well latrine. Okay, so the only difference mostly in between the borehole and the duct well is that borehole latrine, it is 30 to 40 centimeter in diameter, and if you see in the duct well, it is 75 centimeter in diameter. Okay, and even the depth, it is, this is 4 to 8, and the other one duct well, it is only 3 to 3.5. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear. Okay, so the remaining part we will continue in the next class. Okay. Okay, thank you
Yes,
everyone.
ma'am.